Santa Claus? Carny lay blanketed in a quiet, snowy stillness, the kind that wrapped the town in a picturesque charm every December. But this year, the snow was tinged with an ominous crimson, a foreboding sign ignored by the townsfolk. It began with strange sightings, a sleigh skimming the skies, not pulled by jolly reindeer, but by gaunt, skeletal beasts with glowing red eyes. The bell-like laughter of Santa Claus had become a haunting cackle, echoing in the cold, empty streets. When little Ellie McCann went missing from her bedroom on December 10th, her parents found claw-like marks on the windowsill. Then, Sam Hargrove, the local butcher, disappeared, leaving behind only bloody smears in the snow. Stories spread like wildfire. Santa Claus was coming, but this wasn't the Santa anyone remembered. That Christmas Eve, the Sullivan family huddled in their living room, their tree lit with flickering, weak lights. The radio crackled with distorted carols, and the fire in the hearth seemed dimmer than usual. Outside, the wind howled, carrying a faint jingling sound. It wasn't the cheerful tinkling of bells, but a heavier, more sinister rhythm. "Stay away from the windows," David Sullivan warned his two children, Tommy and Clara. His wife, Margaret, clutched a kitchen knife, though she knew it would be useless. Suddenly, the house shook as if struck by a massive force. The jingling grew louder, interspersed with deep, evil growls. David rushed to the window despite his earlier warning and peeked through the curtains. "What is it?" Margaret whispered. David turned to her, his face pale as the snow outside. "It's him." Through the frosted glass, he saw the sleigh, enormous and jet black, hovering in their yard. The beasts pulling it were hideous mutations of reindeer, twisted antlers dripping with icicles, fur matted with gore, and teeth like jagged shards of ice. Santa stood at the helm, a massive figure cloaked in tattered red robes. His face was obscured by a shadowy hood, but two glowing ember-like eyes burned beneath it. The door burst open without warning, and a freezing wind swept through the house, extinguishing the fire. Santa stepped inside, his boots thudding heavily on the wooden floor, leaving trails of ash. In his gloved hands, he held not a sack of toys but a gnarled staff, its tip glowing with a sickly green light. "You've been very naughty," Santa rasped, his voice like grinding stone. He pointed the staff at Margaret, who screamed as vines of frost crawled up her legs, freezing her in place. David grabbed the knife and lunged, but Santa swatted him aside effortlessly. He landed in a heap, the knife skittering across the floor. Tommy and Clara huddled together, trembling as Santa loomed over them. "No more cookies, no more milk," he growled. "I feast on fear now." But before Santa could strike, a piercing howl erupted from outside. The room darkened further as a shadow spilled in through the open door. "Not here," growled a deep, otherworldly voice. A figure emerged from the darkness, a monstrous lupine creature with fur as black as midnight and eyes that glowed golden. It was Krampus, Santa's ancient rival. "You dare interfere?" Santa snarled, his staff glowing brighter. Krampus grinned, revealing rows of sharp teeth. "You've broken the balance, Klaus. It's time you were reminded of the old ways." The two clashed, the room shaking with the force of their battle. Frost met fire, light met shadow. The Sullivans could only watch in terror and awe as the Titans fought. In the end, Santa's sleigh was shattered, his reindeer scattered into the night. Krampus stood victorious, his fur singed but his grin intact. Turning to the Sullivans, he said, "Tell your kind, the old Santa is gone, and the new one, he serves me now." Before they could respond, he vanished, leaving only scorched marks on the floor and the faint scent of brimstone. The following year, Christmas returned to Carny, but it was different. The bells still jingled, but their tone was darker. Gifts appeared, but they came wrapped in shadowy paper. And on Christmas Eve, the children no longer left cookies and milk. Instead, they left offerings of meat and whispered prayers to the dark figure who now ruled the season.